from the previous class, there's a question in relation to what are the various ways in which the jnanendriyas and karmendriyas indulge, and what does one do to restraint. The question is, what are the various ways in which jnanendriyas and karmendriyas indulge, and what is the way to restraint? The jnanendriyas, the eyes, the tongue, the ears, the nose, the touch, the skin, how does every sense organ indulge? What are the various ways in which it indulges? Before going to the individual organs, what is it that the fundamental principle behind indulgence? What is the concept behind indulgence? Then you can develop it then you can, for infinite is the varieties in which it indulges. And you can't list out and you can never list out the entire ways in which indulgence happens. Because one mind itself has infinite variety of indulgences. 8 billion people have into something, so we can never list it out. But you get the concept clear. The effective way of understanding is you have to get the concept. You have to get the concept right always. From that concept, you can derive your individual. From that concept, you can derive your individual ways of attending to it. The concept is very important. Hunger is the problem. Food is the concept that solves the problem of hunger. Now there are infinite variations of food. You go to the restaurant, you eat, you are solving the problem of hunger. What is it that solves the hunger? Individually, it may be different from person to person. One person may ask for idli sambar, another person may ask for what is that dosa? Family king size dosa. No, it comes like so. King size dosa. Another person may say, I want only soup. Another person will say, I want healthy. Or another person will say, I want unhealthy. It doesn't matter. But the infinite ways of solving the problem of hunger all derives from one concept called food. Similarly, for everything there is a concept. What we are trying in this classroom is get to the concept, not the variations. The variations are infinite. You need to find out your own variation. You can never make that list. It's like asking what are all the food that is available in the planet. You can never give that, or you can give that list, but that list will be of no. Similarly, what is it that indulgence is trying to solve? When the senses are indulging, what is it that the indulgence is trying to solve? Just as when you are eating, what is it that food is trying to solve? hunger. Similarly, when you indulge, what is it that indulgence is trying to deal with? What is it that it is trying to solve? Desire. Indulgence. Indulgence is that which is trying to get instant happiness. Indulgence is that which asks for instant happiness. Everybody has their various ways of finding that instant happiness. What is it that indulgence is trying to? When you are indulging, what is it that you are trying? What is it that the mind is trying? What is it that the senses are trying? Instant pleasure. Not just pleasure. Indulgences, senses cannot wait for action now and pleasure 20 years later. Indulgence means pleasure now. So anything that gives pleasure now, the senses gravitate. The eyes specifically look for sight that gives instant pleasure. The ears look for sound that gives instant pleasure. Similarly, the nose, the smell and the touch. Generally, there are few things that people try. Generally, the general list. The sight of it drives the contact. That is indulgence. Again, the sight of it drives the contact. This is what is known as indulgence. At a deeper level, you search for that. At a deeper level, you search for that contact. At the worst level, you sit and imagine that contact. These are the grades this is how indulgences develops in grades. First is the sight of it. First is the sight it triggers. Second is you search for it deliberately. The third one is the person sits and imagines. These are the ways in which indulgences happen. You follow? In the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, he attacks the third part by saying it all starts with a dhyayataha. It all starts with imagination, thinking. You follow? So the first level of indulgence is the sight of it. Therefore, they say practice satsang. Let the sight of it, instead of driving indulgence, let the sight of it remind you of something divine, higher. So the chances of indulgences are less. After a period of time, that itself will become another. After a period of time, that itself will become another indulgence. That's a different story altogether. You follow? Let the sight of it drive. Let the sight of it remind you of something higher, divine. This is how you work on it as a concept. This is how you work on it as a concept. Now you can talk about the individual areas where everybody will have a weakness. But for everybody this is the general. For everybody this is the general formula. Then you boil it down to their individual area of weaknesses. If the sight of it doesn't remind you of the divine, what do? Make that little bit of effort when you are searching for, at the second level, when you are searching for that specific contact, make an effort to search for divine in that. The third one, at the deepest level where you are sitting and imagining a contact, nothing can be done there. For it is a state where no effort is possible. For it's in a very, the mind has taken over so completely, that person doesn't know where or what or how or nothing. For that person is so caught up in that. That person is so caught up in that imagination. So effort can be done at the first two layers. Knowledge prevents you from going to the third. If knowledge is not there, repeated contacts and searching for it, very soon it will reach very soon you will get to the third stage. What is the third stage? Even when the contact is not happening, imagination happens. Lingering. It's called lingering. Now I'll take example from each and every one example from one sense organ. Eyes. What does the eyes indulge in? You can never answer that question, because unless you answer 2-3 things in it, you can never answer this. Generally, you can never answer what does the eye indulge in. The eyes of the 20-year-old will want to indulge in something. The eyes of the 80-year-old will want to indulge in something. But nevertheless, both indulge. The eyes of the 20-year-old will want to indulge in seeing variety of movies. The eyes of the 60-year-old will want to indulge in seeing variety of temples. அத்திவரத பர்சன் இருக்கும்போது பார்க்கணும், அப்புறம் அவர் நிற்கும்போது பார்க்கணும், அப்புறம் அவர் குளத்துக்குள்ள போடும்போது பார்க்கணும். நெக்ஸ்ட் பீப்புள் வில் ஸ்டார்ட் ஜம்பிங் இன்டு தி பாண்ட் ஆல்சோ வந்து உள்ளே போய் see and come back. Indulgence. You follow what I'm saying? You can never have a fixed object for indulgence. For as the mind keeps changing, the objects of indulgence also keeps changing. That's why at some point of time we say never bother about the object, go to the concept. For you may know, you can prevent yourself from watching a movie, but the eyes will go to indulge in something else. You follow? Just as he gives that example, no? You can teach a person how to deal with the mother-in-law, but then the problem will shift to the father-in-law. So you can teach that also. Now, how to deal with the mother-in-law? PhD in dealing? Mother-in-law, very good consultant in dealing how to deal with mother-in-law. But then problem shifts to something else. Why? For the concept is not understood. That's why repeated Shravana is required. Again and again and again we have to keep listening, because that's how you get to that's how you understand the concept, and the concept gets pile driven. What does the ears indulge in? You can never answer that question unless you tell who that person is. Unless you tell who that person is. For every object, for every sense organ. And how does one practice restraint? Wherever their eyes go, in the areas of less intense indulgence, you can practice abstinence, withdrawal. In the areas where the intensity of the indulgence is more, you can't do anything now. You can't practice restraint there. And what people will do is, straight away they want to practice restraint at their weakest point. That's how the mind dupes you. That's how the mind sees you. It will straight away say, practice restraint at your weakest point. 2-3 times you will try. 5-6 times you will try. What will happen? It fails. You will fail. And the mind will say, leave it and do something else. Or use this to give a very good lecture to others. Why? Because you can never practice restraint in the areas of your intense indulgences. And everybody has some area of not so intense. Those are the areas practice restraint. Why you don't practice restraint in the most intense areas? Because even if you practice restraint, the thoughts will still go there. And the fact that you have to practice restraint will make you to mentally indulge more. Most of the time that's what happens. The fact that you want to restrain, you start thinking about it more. Like you were saying, that day I decided to fast. From the previous day, thought starts going towards food. More. Under normal circumstances, not a single thought will go towards food. So the person is under the assumption that he has perfect control over food. That's how everybody believes they have perfect control over all indulgences, all sense contacts. So, instead of trying in the strongest area, start practicing it in the not so strong. Restrain, replace. This is how it works. Restrain and replace. A conscious restraint and a conscious replacing. இது ரெண்டு தான். You restrain and then you replace. You restrain and then you replace. This effort to restrain and replace is what is called tapas. You make an effort to restrain and then you make another effort to replace it with the higher. Very technically called as assertion, negation. In the third Mahavakya, they talk about the practice of assertion and negation. Negation is restraint. Assertion is replace. You follow? It's a basic concept. Assertion is to replace. Negation is to restrain. You say no. Saying no is one part of the story, and then replacing it with something higher for which you are going to say yes is the second part. This is how it works. For the teenager, where does the eyes go? Mobile. For the 70-year-old, 80-year-old, where they also don't have anything to do, where does the eyes go? Mobile. YouTube down. But what they see is, and the way these old people are abusing it. Oh my God, all the time that I'm seeing. My mother-in-law, she is 80, sitting with YouTube. And she is telling her, abdi pannalam. I said, oh, denga. How does indulgence happen? The search for instant pleasure, that's all. You close your eyes and you want to bring the image of God and see that. It's very difficult. For it needs what it needs? Concentration. It needs concentration. You don't need concentration. It goes by itself. Correct. Concentration. That is effort. And concentration is effort. Single pointed concentration is much more effort. How does tongue indulge? Food that is tasty is unhealthy. Food that has no taste is healthier. It always happens like that, no? The healthy foods have no taste. The food that has taste is always healthy. How does the ears indulge? The ears indulge in listening to talking about oneself or talking ill about the other. This is how the ears indulge. It's a sound. What is the sound it likes? What is the sound that the indulgence is in? It likes to talk about itself first. And ill about. See, when you talk, why it is called indulgence is because when you talk, you are also hearing. It's not that I am talking and only you are hearing. As I am talking, I am also hearing. No. So what is it that I like to hear? My own virtues. My own greatness. You follow? Second thing that I like to hear is outside நிறைய நல்ல quality இருக்குது sir. That is dismissed in 10 seconds. But you know that one bad quality will take 1 hour to discuss. How does the ears indulge? smell, the nose. How does that indulge? How does that indulge? Eyes and ears, which is that much easy to understand. As you go into the subtler and subtler organs, their areas of indulgence are that much more difficult to even understand it as a concept. Last is the touch, the skin. How does that indulge? Now, how does nose indulge? Very simple, sir. Perfume. Where is the difficulty? The perfume. What is the indulgence of? The nose indulgences, the nose will indulge in something that increases the sensuality. Perfume is one. It is not looking for perfume. It is looking for stimulation to get sensual. Whatever gives that stimulation, the nose indulgence. Perfume is one. Otherwise, are you able to follow? The smell of it should make the tongue salivate. No, the food also they want to. Smell itself is so good that I am salivating. Do you follow? Touch the skin. What is the indulgence of the? What is the indulgence of the skin? What is the indulgence of the skin? What is the indulgence of the skin?
Sensuality.
Something specific. And then go to the concept. Warmth. ரொம்ப குளிர்ந்து போல இருக்கு பத்ரிக்கு. Okay, is asking for warmth. What is it that the skin indulges? Skin is related to what? Concept. How many times we have, 30-40 years we have heard Jnanendriyas and Karmendriyas. This is an indication that no manana has happened at all. What is it that in relation to the skin? Touch. That's what you have heard, memorized. You have not. What is it, the touch? What is it, the skin? The touch. The indulgence of the skin, what is it? Soft, pleasure, comfort. Ear, vibration. அது அவுத்தரல எனக்கு என்னன்னு. Eyes we are saying sight. For the ears we are saying sound. What is it for the touch? What is it? Fire touching is okay, what? What does touch means? Feeling. Where? Touch means the look. The skin is in relation to how how I appear. That's what the skin is all about. How much of effort is made to make sure that what is that sense organ that is dealt with? That's what is called that is what is known as the skin. So conscious about how a person, so worried, so tensed, so anxious about how person, 60-70% of the advertisement is about the color of the skin, no? 70% of the advertisements is about what? The color of the skin. What is it that is, what organ it is dealt with? So skin, you have to understand it as look. It's not about how others are going to look at you. It is about how you look. And what is it that you are looking at yourself first? When you look at you, what is it that you look? What is it that you see first? Hands, legs, and first thing that strikes is that thing that covers the entire, the skin. The skin. The senses has the tendency to indulge in all the five. What is indulgence in all the five means? How to find instant happiness in all. The food is only related to the tongue, correct? The food is related only to the tongue, but it is not related only to the tongue. First it has to look good. Then it has to smell good. Tongue is the last part of the contact for the food. The first part of contact for the food is the first part of the first point of contact for the food is அங்க வரும்போது லிஃப்ட்ல வரும்போது the first point of contact is it has to smell good, it has to look good, and when you are eating, some nice sound must, you are eating but constantly drilling everywhere, you don't. So even though when we say food is in relation to the tongue, the human mind connects it with all the senses. Animals just deal with one sense and that's it. It doesn't bother about. It will never worry for eating. It will never worry about ambience. For eating, it will never worry about it is just one organ that works for the animals. In the case of the human beings, all the sense organs has to be catered to. Then only there is a satisfaction. So much of science and art and everything goes in dressing, no? Dressing the food. Even if the taste-wise it doesn't lighten up, the dressing makes it. You follow? So, for senses to indulge You always try in one contact how to make sure that all the senses are satisfied. More the senses can get satisfied, more the pleasure. More senses can participate, more the pleasure. If all the senses can participate, maximum pleasure. And mind also joins it. What a hope for enjoyment in that. There's no actual enjoyment in it. More and more senses participate, more and more the hope for instant happiness is kindled. More the hope is kindled, more the disappointment. More the hope, more the disappointment, more the frustration. Less the hope, less the disappointment, less frustration. No hope, no disappointment, no frustration. He is a sannyasi. He is a sannyasi. This is as far as the jnanendriyas are concerned. And then comes the karmendriyas. Jnanendriyas, okay. Restraint. Whatever your particular area of that is restraint, how do you know that it is? Okay, restraint. I said, no, so restraint. Wherever it is less intense, practice restraint. Wherever it is less intense, maximum intense, have a timetable and contact. That's why it's called a schedule. You have to put a schedule and contact. You know the Oriental calendar is a schedule for contact. The Oriental calendar that we are supposed to follow is nothing but a schedule for contact. In a day, you are allowed to indulge. In a day, you have to fast. But it means the contact and abstinence both follow a schedule, both follow a pattern. You follow? And how to make that calendar? Everybody has to make their own. Everybody has to make their own calendar. But the concept behind restraint is in the area of less intense restraint, more intense schedule it, timetable. That's all you can do now. Between the two contacts, you schedule the contact. In between the two contacts, replace it with knowledge. What is the knowledge? Manana. How many times I have contacted like this in the past? What has happened? And again I am going to contact. And again I am going to contact. Again I am going to contact Nalniki. Or again I am going to contact next Friday. How many Fridays went like that? And one more Friday is going to come. What is it that this is replacing it with knowledge. You follow? This is how you replace it. So on the one hand, the mind cooperates. On the one hand, the mind cooperates for reflection because it knows. Okay, you partly reflect on it, but next contact is guaranteed. No. Okay, next, 1 week you reflect, but as long as you give me a guarantee for the next contact, the mind cooperates. This is how you have to, this is how you have to deal with the mind. Between the two contacts, what do you do? That is more important. First thing is to making a schedule. Second thing is, in between two contacts, what do you do? Ask this question. That's what Rama says, no? How many fathers I have had in the past? How much more I am going to have in the future? How many times I have entered these wombs in the past? How much more I am going to enter in the future? This entering, exit, entering, exit, entering, exit. What is it that I am trying? What is it that I am hoping for? What is it that I am trying to arrive by this entry and exit? Yeah. கிளாஸஸ்க்கே கூட அது கேட்கலாம். வேணும். ஒரு சண்டே விட்டு அடுத்து ஒரு சண்டே விட்டு இன் பிட்வீன் what you follow what I am saying? This is how you practice restraint, and what do you replace it with? Between the two contacts, replace it with knowledge. What is the knowledge? Knowledge that tells you what are you searching for. Carefully follow the steps. What are you searching for? How many times you have done this in the past? What has happened to all that effort? And what is it that I am trying by the next contact? Don't say useless. Straight away don't say useless. For the master who has done all this homework has come to the right conclusion, he says it as useless. By you saying it as useless will not help. You follow? You never become wise by repeating what others have said. You become wise only when you understand. You follow? Now when you say it is useless, it is just repetition. Repetition of somebody's conclusions. Will you ever become wise by following the conclusion of somebody else? Can you become wise like that? That's why the wise master never concludes for you. He says you conclude for yourself. I can make conclusion for myself, but you can never conclude for you follow? So what do you do? Restrain and replace. How do you replace? Replace it with knowledge. Knowledge doesn't mean the conclusion. Please understand. Knowledge means the process of analyzing it again and again and again. That is knowledge, not the conclusion. For the conclusion is never yours. Or whatsoever you conclude, third day it will change. You follow? Arjuna, carefully follow. Don't be like Arjuna. How many times in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna wanted to conclusively conclude? Krishna, tell me conclusively. How many times you will conclusively conclude? Every chapter you do it? Conclusively. It means the conclusion is not the greed of the mind wants you to conclude immediately. That's how you get cheated. That's how you don't go through the process of manana. Never bother about the conclusion. Go through the process of analysis. For the conclusion is always somebody else's. It's never yours. What is the question? What is the process of replacing it? How many times I have? What is it that I am trying to get through this contact? How many times I have done this? How many times I have done this in the past? What has happened to me? Bhagavad, has it made me any strong? Or did it make me strong? Or did it make me weak? Did it bring about bliss? Or did it bring about stress? If I say no to contact, why my mind is so? Why the mind is getting so stressed to that? To that no. This is how you replace it. And this has to be done, I don't know, as much as possible. But எங்களுக்கெல்லாம் practical சார் வாரத்துக்கு 5 minutes it is practical for 5 minutes in a day. The result will show. The result will show after 500 janmas. If you can do it for half an hour, it will be that much more shorter. More you do, more you are closer to freedom. This is how you practice restraint and replace. You follow? Restraint, what is the formula? Schedule. During the course, anybody goes with any problem, he keeps on saying, go back and follow the schedule. Go back and follow the schedule. And that's the most frustrating answer that you do not want to hear. And you want to hear something? And you want to hear something? Instant. That's something you say. You are so wise now. Why can't you say? Why can't you say something? So much of intellect you have, so much of wisdom you have. Why can't you say something that will work? Yeah, room out to well of Bhagavad, I should be enlightened person. You follow? For restraint, follow a schedule of contact. For replacing it is always with knowledge. Higher. You replace it with knowledge. And what is the knowledge that you replace it with? This process of analysis. How many times I have got beaten up? How many times I got cheated? How many times I got disillusioned? What is it that is driving me to do it? Again. Siddhartha, the prince, shows the palace glowing in the darkness. The whole place is pitch dark, and the palace is lighted up, and it is glowing in the darkness. The prince asked the charioteer, Siddhartha, the prince asked the charioteer, what do you see there? What do you see in that palace? Charioteer says, joy, happiness. That's what you see there, no? Joy, happiness, security. I don't know, what are? Siddhartha said, I see sorrow there. I see sorrow in that. You see joy, I see sorrow. Now you go your way, I go my way. How many times I have seen happiness in that and went and knocked at the door only to get agitated and sorrow. And what makes me to think that I am going to get joy? Now, that's why the Upanishad says of vain hopes. The Upanishad says this is of the vain hopes, of vain hopes. What is the vain hope? What is the vain hope? Indavati Sariyago. Now it will be alright. Now it will be alright. And never it is alright. This is how you practice restraint, and this is how you replace it with knowledge. If replacing it with knowledge is not possible, ideally speaking, you have to replace it with knowledge. For the vast majority, replacing it with knowledge is not possible all the time. What does one do? Get into Karma Yoga. That's all. Nothing else can be done. For this practice of knowledge all the time is not possible. It's nice to hear all this. Nice to hear how many times you have entered the womb, how many times you have exited the womb. All that is very nice to hear. As soon as the class is over, I want to go back and enter that only. So what does one do? For replacing, use little bit of knowledge and little bit of Karma Yoga. If you are in the initial stages, more of Karma Yoga and less of knowledge. Advanced stages, more of knowledge and less of Karma Yoga. Yeah. Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam Karma Yogena Yoginam Pura Prokta Mayanaga. What are you asking, Arjuna? This has been laid out from the beginning. What is it? The method of replacement is only two: knowledge and Sankhya Yoga and Karma Yoga. Knowledge and action. In the initial stages, more of action, less of knowledge. Advanced stages, more of knowledge, less of action. Naturally it will happen. That shift will happen. You follow? For replacement to happen, one is knowledge. Push yourself for knowledge, little bit, always extra. Push yourself, for the ultimate help is going to come from knowledge. Because of the inability to practice this knowledge, Karma Yoga is a Karma Yoga is a compromise. Karma Yoga is a compromise. Isavas Upanishad says, human beings means they should be having quality of sannyas. Sannyas, illana is not but very difficult to practice a sannyas. Okay, go back and do. Karma Yoga is but then the person doing Karma Yoga thinks it's a very great, not realizing that it is a compromise, because knowledge is not, I am not able to practice knowledge. Since I am not able to practice knowledge, I have to compromise and do karma. There are two words, Chanchala, Achala. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna, he says. Chanchala and Achala. Chanchala means constantly moving. Achala means unmoving, not moving. Hima, great. Achala, unmoving. The great unmoving. That's why it's called Himachala, the Himalayas. Himalayas is the English corruption of the word Himachala. Achala. Hima means great. Achala means the great unmoving. And they worship that Himalayas. Why they worship that Himalayas? Because the mind must be as unmoving as that. Achala. It has to come to that point of fixation. How to get to that point? From Chanchala to Achala. Schedule, restraint, replace. Restraint is schedule. Replacing it with knowledge plus karma. Knowledge plus karma. What is karma? Whatever be it. You follow?
You talk enough others, for example. So, one practical solution that you gave us restraint was to practice mauna for the fixed schedule. Fixed schedule மட்டும் சொல்லாம நீங்க என்ன சொன்னீங்க? Practice mauna. And immediately after that, you have to have a sattvic contact. For which you said two things. One is to chant Lord's name, or you talk things that will remind you of inspiration, gratitude, obligation, and sacrifice. அந்த மாதிரி எனக்கு
Maunam is not a solution for stopping talking ill about others. Maunam is for what? Maunam is for what? There is a constant urge to express. Always there is a constant urge to express. If I don't express, there is a sense of restlessness in it. Yeah. அது சொல்லலாம்னா தலை வச்சிரும் சார். A constant urge to go and an impulsive urge to express. Maunam is a discipline that takes care of the problem of that impulsive urge to express. That impulsive urge to express. There is a food on the table. The impulsive urge is, I don't like it. You are not able to control from. You are not able to express restraint from. You are not able to practice restraint from expression. Mind wants to constantly express. Maunam will be more frustrating. Therefore, I said talk. When you talk, proportion the talk. If I talk ill about a person for 5 minutes, I will praise that person for 55 minutes. The praising the other self is so more frustrating. I will mauname better, because what is in that person to praise so much? So there is so much to criticize. You follow? What you are asking as a list can never be. Indicators only can be provided. That chart can never be. That list can never be made. Indicators can be given. That's all. In the area of a specific problem, something can be spoken, that too not in a classroom like this. For it doesn't work. When I spoke about Maunam, I spoke about Maunam as a concept. What is it that Maunam as a discipline is trying to deal with. It's not talking. Talking is one way of expression. So when you restrain from talking, what are you restraining from? That uncontrollable, impulsive urge to express all the time. You follow? Okay. When somebody impulsively, uncontrollably goes on expressing, how do you feel? How do you feel? You feel? How do you feel? You feel nauseating. You feel obnoxious. You don't want to go. You don't want to associate. No. Why? It's not the talk that you are irritated by. It's not the talk that is frustrating. What is it that is frustrating there? What is it that is so obnoxious in it? That impulsiveness in expression. That impulsiveness in expression. So much of affection. Oh, I am so affectionate, so affectionate. Every time, hugging. What happens? You follow? There is so that Maunam is a discipline that brings about an awareness of that impulsive expression. Indulgence is you look for that person and go on. அவர்தான் கேட்பார் சொல்றது. அதனால go on. Go on. For whenever you hear ill about others, replace it by, try and replace it by talking good about. Feel like cursing, na? Replace it with the Lord's name. You know why most of the Oriental names have the name of God? So you can never talk ill. You can't say Narayana and then talk ill, no? Yeah. Narayana, you will be. You can't say that. It will not come naturally. Yeah. You follow?
That's why they have second name.
You follow? Replace it with the Lord's name. How can you an effort you put to chant the Lord's effort? These are all individual practices that may help for a while. These are all not all-time practices. Third day you will be bored of these practices. Fifth day you will be frustrated with these practices, and then you will come and ask for another practice. So this goes on endlessly. What is the other way? Two practices. Replace it with restraint. Replace. Restraint means schedule the contact. You know, the mind works cyclically. Anger comes cyclically. Just as smile also comes cyclically, anger also comes cyclically. If you start observing yourself, you can catch yourself before getting, for you know, right, I'm going to get angry. Instantly, then you can replace. Awareness comes. If all this is too much to do, practice Karma Yoga. What is Karma Yoga? Indulgences means looking for one's happiness. Karma yoga means how can I give this happiness to other. Indulgences means happiness for myself. Karma yoga means how can I, at least வீட்டில் இருக்கிற 4 பேருக்காவது how can I give happiness. Then comes the, you remember that circle of identification? This is how it grows. This is how the entire discipline of sense control coupled with knowledge and understanding brings about a vairagya. More the vairagya, more your capacity to absorb. If you are not able to absorb knowledge means lack of vairagya. More vairagya, more absorption. More absorption, that much more vairagya. Where you will have a problem with all these things is, you start practicing 1 or 2 disciplines, you will start seeing some instant results. And that instant results fans the greed, and you instantly want to do more and more and more. It doesn't. This is what is known as, whatever you have done, you undo that. Always 1 or 2 things all that you hear will not inspire. 1 or 2 things you hear will inspire you, and you will want to practice that. And when you practice that, you see some results. And these results that you have seen drives what? Drives the greed to instantly start doing in relation to all the organs, the mind, everything. Straight away it wants to jump to the 100%. This is called result orientation, and it doesn't help. If you are practicing one, it is an assumption that you are practicing one. Yeah. If you are practicing one and you have found some result, what you should do? Consolidate that. Don't immediately move to. It's exactly like dealing with finances. If you have got 100 rupees, when you are at zero, and if you have got 100, that 100 looks very, very big. Now what you should do with that 100? One option is you can spend it and come back to zero. That's what result orientation is all about. You gain some, you spend it and come back to zero. More frustrating. Another thing is what? Having got that 100, what do? Continue in the same thing. Continue in the same direction and gather more strength. In the language of management, as soon as you find benefit in one, you immediately want to diversify into the others. It doesn't work. If you have done it with one sense organ, stick to that till you gather enough. How do you know that you have gathered enough? One indication that you can do reflection more. If you can't do reflection more, it means you are wasting that. Whatever little bit you have gathered, you are wasting that. Go back to that. Go back to that. Tansen, the great musician in Akbar's court, Akbar said, "You are the best musician the world has known." Tansen said, "I am not the best. I am a very mediocre musician, and it is true that world can appreciate only. You know that, no? World can only appreciate the mediocre. The majority can appreciate only the mediocre." Rabindranath Tagore, when he got the Nobel Prize, he said, "Now I know world can appreciate only mediocre poetry. For my poetry is my Gitanjali is so mediocre compared to Aurobindo's Savitri. Otherwise, don't start reading Savitri. Udane you go to Savitri now. Extraordinary poetry Savitri is." Tagore says, "I am still struggling to understand Savitri," and Gitanjali they gave. So, similarly, when Tansen was singing, Akbar said, "You are the greatest musician," and Tansen said, "I am a very mediocre musician." And Akbar, "You can only appreciate mediocre, for you have not heard my Guru singing." The Tansen's Guru is Haridas. "You have not heard my Guru singing. He is the musician." Akbar said, "Okay, bring him to the court, ask him to sing." அந்த மாதிரிலாம் அவங்கள்ட்ட நடக்காது. You can't call him to the court எல்லாம். We have to go there. Okay, tell him that we are coming and ask him to be. மைக்கெல்லாம் வச்சு நல்லா ரெடியா இருக்கட்டும். When we come, again Tansen said, "Abdullah, you have to go and wait outside. You have to go and wait outside. Maybe we are lucky if he starts. We are lucky if he starts singing." Seven nights they went and waited for Haridas to sing. 8th night he sang. And you know what he sang? He didn't sing 100 songs, 100 ragas, 100 talas. அதெல்லாம் ஒண்ணுமே கிடையாது. Just one note. Just one note that's all. Just one note. What they call as the Moola Mantra. He was just singing that one note. Akbar came back and told Tansen, "What is the difference? We are all struggling to find that one. He has found that one. I am a mediocre musician because I am still struggling to find that note. He is an extraordinary musician because he has found that." For Akbar said he didn't sing any variety and he was just singing the same thing. And what is the same thing that he was singing? The Moola Mantra. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare. That's all he sang. The whole night. You follow? Not the variety. Consolidating. You practice one. And if you have found some benefit, immediately don't try to go to all the other senses. Try and practice more and more. Try and practice more and more of that. If you can practice more of that, there is an indication. What is the indication? Your ability to reflect will be more. And that reflection will teach you how to go to the next. Uddarevatmanatmanam. This is how you raise yourself by yourself. Other thing is, a chart can be made and given. All the Dharma Shastras is nothing but these charts. And these charts doesn't all the Shruti, all the Smriti textbooks is these charts, and it doesn't work. You follow? Practice one, gain strength in that, and how do you know that you are gaining strength? Your ability to reflect is more. Reflecting the ability your ability to reflect more means every time you ask this question, how many times I have done this in the past? How many more times I have to do this in the future? A kind of vega develops to get out of it. Mumukshatva. A kind of vega develops to get out of it means not getting out of something in particular. If you are still trying to get out of something in particular means you have not practiced. You have not practiced restraint, you have not practiced knowledge. You want to get out of, you have to get out of the whole lot. Nothing in particular. If you are trying for something in particular means, you have to do what of? Karma Yoga. You have to do a lot of Karma Yoga. This is how it works. Okay?